Welcome back to Sorare Assist. Well guys, the MLB is back on Sorare, and today I'm going to be picking my draft for the upcoming MLB season in terms of my common cards. Really looking forward to this tournament returning with me winning a super rare last season on Sorare MLB on one of the rare tournaments. And as I say, today I'm going to be picking my common draft team for the upcoming season. If you like this video, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you've not signed up to Sorare yet, sign up, use the link below and you will get a free limited card. And of course, you'll be able to draft your common team for the upcoming MLB season. So if you just go over to the upcoming page, as you can see, the first game week on Sorare MLB actually starts in 9 days and 6 hours time at the time of recording. And as you can see at the top here, there's a get started page where you can draft your common cards for the upcoming season on Sorare, which of course will be the second season that Sorare have covered this league, but this will be the first full season that Sorare have covered the MLB. So before we get into picking my draft, I'm just going to go briefly over this article in terms of the new onboarding process and why I'm going to need to draft my teams, even though I did have, of course, some common cards from last season. So, new manager onboarding. We are overhauling our new manager onboarding experience to make the game more engaging and rewarding for both new and existing managers. At the start of Season 2, all managers will be able to draft a team of common cards filling 10 positions within a set budget, and use those cards to set lineups in common competition gameplay. Please note that all Season 1 common cards will be retired at the beginning of Season 2. All managers who completed a common card swap and who participate in any competition in Season 2 Game Week 1 will receive a bonus common reward after the conclusion of the game week. Now that's interesting. So it looks like if you are competing in Game Week 1, you will be receiving a bonus common reward after the conclusion of the first game week. So make sure you get your lineups in, guys, for Game Week 1. So over the course of the season, managers will be able to adjust their common collection from their original drafted team in the following ways: winning common card rewards, trading one of their common cards for a new common card, which can be done once per day. So they also say that we're also capping the number of common cards any manager can hold at one time. So managers who join throughout the season can be more competitive in common gameplay. Initially that cap will be 15 cards, but we plan to introduce new ways throughout the season for managers to increase their cap. Managers who reach their cap and win a new common reward will need to trade one of their existing common cards in order to keep their reward. So I think that's really good that they're doing this, because this is obviously going to enable new managers coming in halfway through the season to not have a disadvantage over previous managers that have already joined. I think this is definitely a good step for new managers coming into this space. So lastly, we're introducing new common competitions to support the progression of new managers. Common gameplay will include the following 3 competitions. Prospect. Start your journey as a Sorare manager by competing in this beginner competition against other newcomers. So only common cards allowed. Only new managers participate in their first game week are allowed in this competition, and the rewards are common cards. Then you can move on to the minors, so you can develop your skills and build your collection in the next level competition. So card scarcity again is just commons. Eligibility is managers who have already competed in Prospect and have not competed in limited, rare, super rare or unique. And rewards are limited and common cards. And managers graduate from the minors as soon as they win a limited card. So the majors then. So this is where Sorare MLB gets real and includes more advanced competition and rewards. So card scarcities, both common and limited cards are allowed in any amount. Limited card receives a 40% scoring bonus. Eligibility then. So managers who have never played in limited, rare, super rare or unique competitions, and the reward in this one is limited. And then there's the common all-star. So the common card only competition that any manager can play at any time. So card scarcity for this one is only common cards, all managers are eligible, and rewards are common cards. So just thought it was worth going over those peripheries there, guys, before I get on to building my draft, which is what I'm going to come on to next. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this get started button here. So here we go then. So this is looking really, really good. So it's saying here then, draft your teams. Select your 10 player squad within a 120 point budget. You can draft up to 5 players from the same MLB team. So each of these players will have a cost, as you can see here, by this diamond icon here. So this is going to cost you sort of 20 of these diamond points for Jacob de Crom. You'll also be able to see the amount of scheduled games. That'll be for the upcoming game week. And also if this guy is a probable pitcher. So for pitchers you will get on Sorare when you're building your team if they're a probable pitcher or not. So the actual points cap then is very small. You're going to get about 12 points here to spend per player on average with the 120 point budget. Right, so guys, let's go ahead and click draft your team. So this is going to bring us to this page where we're going to be selecting our team. Now you can click the auto pick button here, which would pick obviously 10 players within the budget, but I wouldn't advise you to do that. I would go through these players, do a little bit of research as well, try and get the best possible squad possible with your 120 points. As you can see here, it's also working out the average for you as well. So I'm guessing when you add a player, it's going to break down the average of the rest of the players as well. So I'm just going to hit that cross there because I don't want to actually pick him in my initial squad. So then, to pick your team, you obviously just need to click this plus icon. And as you can see, there's different positions here as well, which are most common in a baseball lineup. So we've got starting pitchers here. So you can pick 3 starting pitchers. You can also pick 1 relief pitcher, 2 corner infielders as well here, which is good, 2 middle infielders, and also 2 outfielders as well. Now, a good strategy generally in baseball fantasy sports is to go with stacks, which is also probably a good strategy as well in most cases in football. Sorare MLB is probably not the best in terms of stacking. You're just best off with individual players there, but in Sorare MLB it can be important to get a stack of players, specifically batters from the same team, because this is obviously going to go in your favour if that team wins by a lot of runs, because obviously the players in that team are going to get those run points if they are getting those home runs or high scoring games. So it is a good idea to maybe have 2 to 3 players from the same team in terms of batters when you are picking your team. So I'm going to bear that in mind when I am selecting my players here, to try and have some players from the same team in terms of the batters. Pitchers are a different story. You just want some quality pitchers really. Probably a bit of variance as well in terms of the teams. You probably want 3 different pitchers here from 3 different teams, who ideally generally rotate in the MLB schedule. Again, relief pitcher doesn't really need to be from the same team. You just need a quality relief pitcher who's going to be playing a lot of the games. So now the standout players that you want generally, of course, some of the star players here in Sorare MLB and in MLB as well, of course, is Atani is one, Cole, Verlander, all players that stick out. Relief pitchers, we've got Hauser, Flexen, Hudson. Corner infielders, of course, we've got Atani again there, Friedman, Goldschmidt. Some names that stand out, and we've also got stars here in the middle infielder slot of Trey Turner, who now plays for the Phillies actually. Bichetti as well as, of course, a new upcoming player. Remuto, and in the outfielders we've got, of course, the fantastic Aaron Judge and Mookie Betts, to name but a few. So there's plenty of options here, but obviously these big star players come at a cost. Now, some of the highly touted teams this season are the Astros, Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Padres, Braves and Blue Jays, all predicted to have a good season this season in the MLB. So guys, with the key changes here, so as you can see, you are going to be able to get some new common cards as the season goes on. So you'll be able to win more common cards, of course, and you'll be able to trade one of the common cards for a new common card, and this can be done each day, so that's interesting. So really, you could be just targeting the first game here, pick a team of 7 players for the first game week on Sorare MLB. Now this could be a really good strategy, guys, and one that I'm probably going to deploy here, and then obviously you can win some rewards hopefully to bolster your squad a little bit. But in the first few weeks, you're probably going to be doing those swaps with your cards to bring in players that have got a good fixture, or maybe even bringing in a starting pitcher that's going to be starting the next game. So with that in mind, I am going to go with a quality starting pitcher here first of all. Now, of course, we don't have all the information of who's going to be a starting pitcher in the first game of the MLB season, with it being 9 days away. But I will keep a close eye on that, so I'm just going to pick my team based on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a star player here who's going to be starting the starting pitcher in the first game of the MLB season. So let's see what we've got then. So Bieber's looking pretty good at 18, but it is tempting to just go with Tanny here. Obviously, he's one of the best performing players in MLB and on Sorare MLB as well in terms of his scoring. So I think I want to go with him as the starting pitcher. Now in these other two slots, I'm actually just going to pick two really cheap players here to give me a budget for the rest of the team. And the plan would be going forward to swap Tanny out for another starting pitcher in the upcoming game week, unless I get really lucky and win another quality starting pitcher. So I'm just going to put in Carinos here and Velasquez as well. Now relief pitcher is going to be the same principle here. I'm going to be picking a quality relief pitcher. I don't want to be spending too much on a relief pitcher though, because they don't generally get you that many points. But I do want one that's going to more than likely be getting some game time. So I want one around the 15 point mark, I would say. Voth could be a good one potentially. What else we got here? Williams doesn't look too bad. And Gillas is looking pretty cheap actually. At 16. What else have we got? Oh, Bautista's looking good as well at 16. I think I'm actually going to go with Bautista here in the relief pitcher slot. So then it's on to the batters now. So as you can see, I need to pick 6 more players. I've got an average of 12 for these 6 players. Now bearing in mind you can only pick 7 players in your MLB team. One needs to be a pitcher, one needs to be a relief pitcher. And then you have to pick a corner infielder, middle infielder and outfielder. Then you also need an extra batter as well, which again can be another corner midfielder, which can be another corner, middle infielder or outfielder. And then you need an extra slot as well, which is going to be a batter, or it can be a pitcher as well if you wish to do so. Now there is a conundrum here of whether to play an extra pitcher in your extra slot or a batter. Now I think in this case I'm probably going to go with a batter, just because they're probably going to be a chance to get a bit of a cheaper option in that slot than the pitchers on Sorare. So 5 of these last 6 remaining slots are going to need to be a player that I'm going to be using in my starting lineup. So I'm just going to go to the outfielder slot here and just put in a really cheap budget player, cheapest there is on here. And let's see what that'll leave me the budget available for the rest of my 5 starting batters. So 13.8 is the average now of my 5 starting batters. Now again, ideally I want to go with stacks here. So I'm going to try and get a stack of 2 players and 3 players from 2 different teams. So what we'll do is we'll just start with the outfielder. So this is the last slot that I need to fill here. And that could potentially guide me to what other players that I'm going to be picking in those other slots, and also the budget that I have available. Now Carroll here is looking pretty good for the Diamondbacks. He's only 13 points. I think that's looking pretty decent. So he's definitely a consideration there. In fact, I'm just going to put him into the slot now for the other outfielder slot, just as a bookmark, but I am going to see if there's any other cheaper options as well. Castellanos is another potential option here. He's only 13 points. He's looking a pretty good steal as well. I think I'm going to stick with Carroll for now though, but it's potentially tempting to put Carroll and Castellanos in these 2 slots here. But we'll see what other players I can pick up in terms of the middle infielders. What sort of prices we're looking at for those players. Albies doesn't look too bad actually for the Braves. 16, that's looking pretty cheap. Franco's looking alright as well, 16 points. So there's a couple there to consider, but I will come back to that. So let's have a look at the corner infielders then. Now Olsen's 18. Now I know that's quite a lot, but he's probably one of the top corner infielders there. So he's probably a good option, especially if I can link him up with that other Braves player that I spotted. So he could be an option. Albro for the Astros could be another good option as well. He's 17 points. And Nathaniel Lowe is 16 points for the Rangers. Now that's looking very appealing as well. So I think Nathaniel Lowe's looking especially cheap here and probably going to keep us within some sort of budget. Although if I was to put that other 13 rated player in here, which was Castellanos, he plays for the Phillies. I haven't really found many cheap options there as well, so I think it's probably best to actually go with him in that slot there. And then what we'll do is we'll just put in a 5-point guy here, just so we've got an idea of what that's going to leave us in terms of our remaining selections. So we've got a Diamondbacks player here already, so I'm just going to pick this guy here for the Diamondbacks as well, just in case he does get that game time. Obviously that's going to give us some stacking options there. So that gives us 43, which is an average of 14 per player for the rest of this team. Now, as we know, we've got Phillies and Diamondbacks in the team so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go up to the top here, filter this by Diamondbacks and the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, this is going to give us some options and potential price points as well for some of these players in these final 3 slots. Now, we've got Trey Turner as the big ticket player here, obviously. I think it's probably going to be too much out of the budget unless we find a really cheap option in terms of the rest of the team. Now, Stock could be an option here. He's only 13 points. He could be an option to put into that middle infielder slot for the Phillies. Marte is a potential option as well for the Diamondbacks. Let's just have a quick look at the corner infielders as well for these two teams. Bohm looks a good choice as well for the Phillies here. He's only 13 points, so that could be a good one. So, a couple of options here. I think it probably makes sense to go with one of these 13 rated players. That's going to give us a little bit more money in the kitty to get another potential good player. So we've got 2 starters here, one for the Diamondbacks, one for the Phillies. So we need a stack of 3 and 2 ideally, I would say, to get those stacks working in our favour. Now in this case, I think it makes sense to go with Stott there as the 13 points option. And also I'm going to go with Bohm as well. So that's going to give me a nice 17 points for my final player, which is going to be a corner infielder player. So I'm going to have to choose from one of these 3 players here. More than likely I'm going to have to pick a Diamondbacks player, just so that I've got that stack of 2 in the Diamondbacks lineups. So I think out of these 2 I'd probably have to go with Christian Walker of the Diamondbacks. So I'm going to go with him in that final slot. So that is exactly 120 points spent there, guys. I'm going to go ahead and submit. Now of course, after you've picked this team, you can of course change your initial draft before the game week starts, before the first game week starts of the week that you draft your team initially. So that is confirmed, guys. As you can see, this is my squad for the upcoming MLB season in the common cards. So I'm going to go ahead and click play ball. And now what I'll do is I'll quickly enter this team into the common all-star. As you can see, you can redraft your team if you did wish to do so. I won't do that unless there's any injury news and starting pitcher information as well, of course, for the upcoming game week when it gets nearer to the time. So I'm just going to go ahead and register this team, guys, just to show you how to do this. So basically you need to select your starting pitcher, which is of course going to be Ohtani. He is a probable pitcher as well. Relief pitcher is going to be Bautista. I've only got 1 player there. Then we need a corner infielder. We've got 2 options here, Christian Walker and Alec Bohm. As I know though, I'm going to be putting both of these players in my team of initial 7 players for the first game week. So I'm going to go with Christian Walker there. The middle infielder slot, I'm going to go with Bryson Stott, because obviously this guy is probably not going to get that many points. This is the main player that I've picked for this position. Outfielder, I'm going to go with Nick Castellanos. Extra slot, Corbin Carroll. And the final slot, my flex slot, is going to be Alex Bohm. So as you can see, we've got a stack of 3 Philadelphia players there and a stack of 2 Diamondback players. In terms of the stacks for the relief pitcher and starting pitcher, that doesn't really matter there. They can play for any team. So this is looking pretty decent. I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And now that is complete for the first game week on Sorare MLB. Okay guys, let me know what you think of my initial draft. Go ahead and pick your draft now. Of course, if you've not signed up to Sorare as well, you can use the link in the description below. You will get your free limited card and you'll get to draft your common team as well. And you'll get that free limited card after buying 7 cards on auction. Okay guys, thanks for watching as always. Smash that like button and I'll see you again on the next video.